So it's time for another transfer episode. And on this note, we are officially in August, and it's safe to say the Premier League is here because in no time at all, we'll be left with the Community Shield. And the Community Shield means, the Premier League new season has started. But first off, let's discuss transfers that have happened over the past couple of days. And today we have a lot to rate, meaning a lot has happened in past couple of days since our last episode. But without wasting much time, Victor, let's go straight into it. And you're starting with the first rating of this video. Rate David Moller Wolfe, who has joined Wolves coincidentally and also has a wolf tattoo on his arm as well. Speak about coincidences. That's a very nice one. Anyways, rate David Moller to Wolves for £10 million on a 5-year contract.
Yeah, actually, based on the name and the team he joined and the tattoo he has, I was going to give him a 10 out of 10. And also because of the transfer fee, £10 million, right? But yeah, in all seriousness, this is Wolves need to do better overall when it comes to transfers because they have been suffering a fair bit now, and I think this is a step in the right direction. I'm not entirely sure whether this particular footballer will be a success in the Premier League. I'm giving it a 6. But they do need to step up their game a little bit because the way I see it right now, they're relegation candidates.
Fair enough. And moving on to what has been the biggest transfer saga over the past week, and it seems like we'll be talking about this until there's, some certain development about it, and it's no one else but Isak. We know that Liverpool sent in a £120 million offer that was swiftly rejected by Newcastle. But the question, Victor, is after seeing that offer rejected at this point, since Liverpool already have Ekitike, do you think they should more or less give up on that chase, or they should still go in again?
So Liverpool are usually not the sort to give up on a player that they want. They usually come in with another offer later on, even if it means two transfer windows later. I don't think they will give up, to be honest. I think this might be a bit of an exercise to help Newcastle save face because this is a very contentious situation. I personally always disapprove when a player boycotts and refuses to train, and it's a big red flag, and I think this is one of those ways where maybe behind the scenes Liverpool and Newcastle already have an agreement for a certain amount of money, but they're doing a bit of a public back and forth, I guess, just to kind of like say, okay, for Newcastle to be able to come out and say we didn't really want to give up on him, but the offer is too good, that sort of thing. So I think there's still a very good chance of this one happening, maybe even before the Community Shield, before August 10th, so like next week basically. But I don't think he will be a Newcastle player anymore by the time the new season rolls around.
Okay, we're just gonna have to wait and see. And moving over to the next rating, this one's for you, Max. Rate Marc Guiu to Sunderland from Chelsea on a season-long loan with a no-buy option.
It depends on which side are we rating that. I mean, for the Chelsea and the player himself, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 deal because he needs a play time, which he cannot get at Chelsea, obviously, because there are like 15 strikers already. And also, I'd say Sunderland probably should be fine with a good striker, I'd say, in their squad for the next season. He can probably score 15 or 12 and help Sunderland stay in the league. So I'd rate it like an 8 out of 10. For me, it's a good transfer for the season and for player, for Chelsea and for Sunderland as well. So yeah, let's stick to 8.
Okay, fair enough. You're quite generous. But yeah, moving on, and it's poetic you're the one to answer this. Rasmus Højlund is refusing to leave Manchester United. He has rejected advances from Atalanta and now RB Leipzig. The latest reports say he wants to stay and fight for his place at Old Trafford. Fair enough, top mentality. But the question is, how does this affect United striker search, given that United are still linked with Sesko and also with Watkins and a couple other strikers?
I mean, if we can sell him, it would be only like 20 mil, I guess, at best. So not a big deal to save him in club, but definitely if we're signing somebody like Sesko or Watkins or somebody else, he's not gonna be a starter for sure. Only maybe a backup option for a cup games or when the main striker is injured. So I don't really understand him in this situation actually, because he knows that if good striker comes in the club, he's not gonna be a starter, and there's quite a low chance of him winning the starting lineup place. So for him, it's a bad decision, and for club, it's not a big deal because he's not so costly, let's say. So yeah.
Not so costly. How much did United pay for him?
No, I mean, to sell him right now, it's gonna be 15 or 20 at best.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next rating. Victor, rate Callum Wilson to West Ham on a free transfer for a 1 year contract.
Yeah, this is a good one. Like I think West Ham did a smart thing here because just like with Wolves, I do see them as relegation candidates as well. So bringing in a bit of, let's say, almost proven firepower, because Callum Wilson is a good striker. He's not a fantastic striker,
Yeah, but he's
but
good enough.
he's good enough, exactly. So if he manages to stay fit and prove himself a little bit, I think he'll get even an extension on this 1 year. Sure, not a super long one. He's already 33, but in terms of rating, I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Mm, fair enough. Yeah, I mean it's low risk for both sides. 1 year,
Yep.
so I mean it's decent. But yeah, still with you, Victor. Newcastle obviously remain on the lookout for a striker because of the uncertainty surrounding Isak. Just like you said, there's every likelihood that Isak would not be a Newcastle player by the start of the new season? Well, we don't know, but what we do know is that Newcastle are preparing for that eventuality. And they've opened talks with Sesko and they are also keeping close tabs on Wissa. Ironically, Wissa is also doing the same thing to Brentford that Isak is doing to Newcastle as well. But in your opinion, which of these strikers might be more beneficial for Newcastle, Wissa or Sesko?
Well, it's kind of a moot point because according to most reports, Sheshko kind of has his heart set on not Newcastle, but Manchester United already for God only knows what reason. But yeah, he apparently wants to join United. And I always felt like Wissa has been ready for a step up from Brentford for about maybe 2.5 seasons already. I feel like if it's not happening now for him, it might never happen to get to one of the big boys. He's already no spring chicken anymore by today's standards. So I think Wissa would be better also because he would come as a cheaper option than Sheshko.
Yeah.
I think Brentford, of course, they would hate having to sell him, losing their coach, losing Mbumo this summer as well. And now losing Wissa as well would be a huge blow to them. But yeah, if they can manage to tie up a deal for anywhere between 30 and 40 million pounds, that would be a good move for Newcastle and for Wissa. For Brentford, maybe not so much.
Yeah, fair enough. And over to you, Max. Rate Joao Palhinha to Tottenham on a season-long loan with a £26 million buy option clause.
I mean, Bayern are like fooled with this transfer for them, I guess, because they paid 52 mil for the guy. He played like 1 or 2 seasons. He had like maybe 600 minutes all time, and now they let him go for double out of price. So
Half the price, yeah.
yeah, so this is kind of fun. And I mean, he was good at Fulham, but a couple of seasons at Bayern, he was not really a main player at all, and he wasn't showing something. So it's like a chance for the player himself, and probably for the Spurs if he can manage the same numbers he did at Fulham. So I'd say it's like a 7 for Spurs because they're not losing anything if he's not performing good. But if he does well, then they can sign him only for 26 mil. So it gotta be a good deal if he managed to do that.
Yeah.
Something tells me Spurs would want him to do the same numbers as at Fulham, except the yellow cards, maybe.
Yeah, except the yellow cards. Fair enough. And still with you, Max. Son has now confirmed that he's leaving, Spurs and is close to moving to LAFC. And now the question is, should Spurs be looking at a big money move to sign his replacement on the flanks?
Are we sure that they have this money to sign anybody mega winger, as you managed to say? I mean, obviously they need a left winger now because Son is leaving and it looks kind of empty currently with their, I'd say, kind of weak left flank. And but I'm not really sure that somebody wants to join Spurs at the moment. So it looks like somebody like Rodrigo are not going to join Spurs. So they gotta better look at somebody like Wolves or this type of teams to try to steal somebody. So I'd say we can expect them to sign somebody, but definitely not a top tier winger.
Fair enough. I mean, even if they were going to sign a top tier winger, it would be difficult to ask for anyone to replace Son, given what he has done, for the club. Even Rodrigo would have a difficult task. But yeah, moving on to the final rating of the episode, Victor. This one's for you. Rate Armando Broja to Burnley. The price is not exactly confirmed yet, but multiple reports are saying it's a £20 million deal on a 5-year contract.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one, because I never saw Broja as an attacker quality enough to play for Chelsea. It's just one of those things. I think in terms of name and in terms of potential and ceiling and whatnot, this one's an 8, maybe even a 9. He's young, he's decent, he's good, and for 20 mil, it's a good price. The problem here is fitness. The biggest ability is availability, right? As the cliche goes. So are Burnley really going to get their money's worth even for 20 mil out of Broja? In 5 years, I don't see him running out his contract at Burnley anyway. I think he'll manage at best 20 to 25 appearances this season. And for that reason alone, I need to rate it a bit lower. So I'm giving it a 6. Between 5.5 and 6, I'm oscillating.
Fair enough. Anyways, that's all we have for this episode. It's been an activity-packed episode for sure, and that is only, serving to remind us that the Premier League is more or less here. And by this time next week, we'll be thinking about the Community Shield and then the season proper, where United will lose their first game of the season at Old Trafford for sure. Anyways, we'll be here with another episode where we'll discuss the latest transfers around the Premier League.